We are gathered here today to pay our respects to the Hybrid Solutions Pro Graphene Infused Flex Wax, and although it was taken from us early, it is survived by his father, the Hybrid Solutions ceramic spray coating, and his grandfather seal and shine. What the f? Hello and welcome back to another ranked review. Today we're looking at the worst named product you'll ever hear in your life, the Turtle Wax Hybrid Solutions Pro Graphene Infused Flex Wax. Now, despite this being named by committee, it is also discontinued, hence the intro, which is very weird because the products it's so-called replaced are still on sale. 2 generations still on sale. So it's a very weird situation. They've discontinued almost everything from their graphene line. I think the sealant and the polish, the Pro one and unpolished is gone. I don't know about the paste wax, but I mean, you can buy half this stuff in some places. Carzilla still has this, but yeah, it's weird that the newest product is discontinued and the other 2 generations of the line are still being sold. Whatever. Today we're going to look at how it does in ranked. In the past and in some experiences I had during this, some not, it's been known to have a bit of a hard application, and that maybe that's why it was discontinued, although there is pretty clear instructions about what to do when you get into those tough spots, and when you do them, it does make it better, but we'll save that for later. I found it was one of the first Turtle Wax sealants, like spray sealants, that had pretty decent hydrophobics. V2 of Seal and Shine's pretty good too, but this one I think was a bit better. So, you know, it's a bigger bottle, the sizing is a little bit better. The pricing here in Canada was not great. I remember it was about 40 bucks a bottle when it was at certain places. Currently right now it's a bit under that, but still not cheap. So it was a very weird product for me. It took me a long time before I actually tried it because I didn't believe much of the hype going on. But let's stop wasting time. Let's get to the results. So we're going to start with the application. We'll head to the filling panel where we check how it fills in the swirls. And then after that, we will go into the hydrophobics and chemical resistance. Meet back here for the conclusion. Okay, last but not least in this round. Excuse me while I inspect these cloths are getting tired. I should probably buy a new pack of the same ones just so we can keep the testing consistent. Last but not least, sorry, is Flex Wax from Turtle Wax. Now my bottle is basically full. Yeah, I only use this for testing. I've never applied it to a whole car. And I do have a damp cloth as well, because this bad boy can streak. But yeah, get it ready here. They say probably 2 sprays per panel, but we're not quite working on a full panel, so 2 half sprays. This is another thick chemical. It smells really good. They got the scent nailed on this. You can feel it. You can feel the thickness to it. It's not super grabby. It's not like a Sonax or anything, but you can feel the thickness. And they basically say to use 2 cloths to apply it. Might just throw 1 pop in there, just because it feels like I'm taking it up before I can really spread it around. Some people comment that I wipe too much, but when you're doing a test, man, you gotta make sure you don't miss spots. I'm surprised how much trouble people get into just because they rush through sections. And all this isn't the hydrophobic section. I do pay attention to it after I apply it to see how it's holding up. Because if I have a correlation issue where my test panel does one thing, my car does something else, I know what the cause was. But anyway, spread around, worked in a good amount, flip. And now the damp cloth is there if you need it. But maybe my humidity is helping me right now. because this is crazy slick, not streaky. I don't know what to say. You can see the lights. There is no ghosting or trails. It's just slick and applied. Interesting. I wonder how well it'll go on the little test panel. But yeah. I think it really didn't need that. Go over this side. Like I've seen the damp towel be like the savior. That kind of ruined the slickness there. Let's top it back up. Let's see how it gets. Let's see if it gets shitty now. Because they tell you to let it cure for 24 hours before you wash it, but then they add water into the application process, and it has a spray and rinse and a drying aid functionality as well. It's just coming off. Okay. Well, I was ready to grill this for wiping 5-ever, but I'm really not seeing that. Even with 2 sections in a row, it's fine. It's totally fine. I would say, good job. Probably like 8. Slickness side, probably about an 8. I don't give it an 8 on application. I do know I have seen it be a nightmare, but in this instance, it was fine. So, yeah, cool. Moving on. Okay, up next we have Turtle Wax Flex Wax. Move this bit right here. Untouched and polished to as good as I can get this panel currently. So you'll see there'll be a difference between these 2 sections, and this is what a really good finish would look like, minus, you know, the buffer trail there. But all I can get out of it so far. And having a gander, it is looking pretty darkened. Excuse my reach. Yeah, it's quite dark. Going back and forth between it and Ethos. Sorry, happened to have Ethos next to it because I filled this right after that. It is quite jetted down. A lot. And I'd say the filling is pretty decent too. It's not as crazy in some spots, but yeah, overall, I think that's it. Let's stand on the other side of the contraption. Well, what do you think? You tell me. I think it looks pretty dang good. I'm going to give this a 7. Yeah, I'm giving it a 7. Just going back and forth here a bit. Yeah, it's definitely darker than Ethos. So, yeah, not a bad filling front. Again, this is a thicker guy to apply, and it has the application experience that can mirror that. It did it for me in applying it to this panel, but again, this is a small section and I'm over applying it. No matter how much I use, it's too much for this section. But yeah, it definitely can fill better than some of the other products. But again, there's the application experience that goes with that. So, yep, that's where we'll leave this one. See you. Moving on. Okay, so we've gone through the testing. A few surprises there probably for some people. I know a lot of people have experience and strong opinions. I can only rate this based off my results and my experiences. So not to invalidate yours, but the scoring is based on mine. So starting with price, I wrote these in the wrong order, but we're starting with price. Currently, you can buy this in Canada for $37.99 Canadian for the 680 ml bottle, which is 23 ounces. Breaking it down into a 500 ml cost, it is $27.94 for 500 ml. So that's in the upper end of the 500 ml 16 ounce range. That 20, like that would be like a 26-ish, 25, 26-ish dollar 16 ounce bottle. So here that's in the high mids for pricing. Like 33 and up is the higher end, and then you've got the ridiculous ones that go up to like 80, 90 for 16 ounce. But it's a little on the higher side. So pricing for this is about a 5. It is a bigger bottle, so that's helping it. But when you look at like Mother's, it's 10 mil for 25, depending on where you go. Most of the places about 25. So smaller, and you know, $12 more, it scores lower. It is multi-use though. That's one of the things that, again, we only test dry application here in one coat, but it does have wet use application, spray and rinse, drying aid as well, all built in, which is more common nowadays, but back then it wasn't. So hence the flex. So you do get kind of 3 products in one, and you get a bit bigger of a bottle, which if you're doing spray and rinse, that's nice. However, spray and rinse is pretty product wasteful, especially with products like this. And drying aid is not a bad use case for, you know, consumption. It's pretty low consumption for drying aid, but best performance is going to come dry use. So 5 out of 10, enough about price. Application and slickness. So this, again, was based on this test, and it went on and off pretty smoothly. It's not the easiest out there, like, you know, the Ethos and some of those other guys, but it was really not bad at all on that section. Now, you get a saturated towel, or maybe you don't have the right kind of towel, like you got to be careful. Shorter nap is usually best for most sprays. Then that might, you know, change things. I have had this be smeary and streaky in the past, but there is an easy solution, which is just a damp towel, and it really knocks it down and out really easily for me when I've had it happen in the past. Again, this is a very full bottle. I've barely done much of a car with it. I don't think I've done ever a full car, but using that when I've had to was no issue whatsoever, and it made it fine. It is annoying though. So besides the slickness and the ease in the process, just having to have a damp towel is a bit of a drag, but when that cure-alls any issue you might have, then it's pretty simple overall. But again, giving it an 8 for application, just because it was slick and it came off dry. I know that it has another side of it where it can get a little bit worse, but it's an easy fix. So 8. Slickness, again, 8. It wasn't up there with the top dogs, but it's way above that median sort of pushing something around, but it's not bad. Like that smoothness, it does have a slickness to it, not just smooth. So 8 there as well. I was very happy with how this performed there. Hydrophobics. Again, as I said earlier, this is a product where the hydrophobics on this was a lot better than the average of the turtle wax sprays. Most of them were kind of blobby. Like my hybrid solutions, I've never been super impressed with it. The V2 of Seal and Shine is better, but this one's been pretty good too. I really enjoyed the hydrophobics I got from it, and I thought like this, the graphene paste wax, the two of those, they kind of got like, okay, we're gonna get real higher contact angles. So I liked that as an 8 out of 10 for the hydrophobics. And chemical resistance, again, you know, turtle wax's trump card usually. You know, it's that ace up their sleeve. They always have that. And it wasn't really missing here. Again, just a little bit of a drop off, but not too bad. So again, 8 out of 10 in the chemical resistance. Moving on to gloss and fill. Also did pretty good. See where I'm going with this. This is doing pretty well. It was very dark, and it had a more, like, again, the camera versus the eye, it's not quite the same, but The filling aspect and the darkening were both pretty good. They weren't the best we've seen, but they were quite good. And you know, that's for the layperson. If you can't, you know, if you don't want to pick up a polisher, or you're afraid to, or you know, it's too much for you, your situation doesn't work, you've got a spray and rinse product, a spray drying aid product, or dry application product, and it has a visual boost. So that's pretty impressive, and very people will really like that. They'll notice the effect this has on the paint. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 because I did see a decent improvement. And you know, for a like multifaceted product, to not give up gloss and fill and not completely tank the application, like the wet towel doesn't hurt this product, and it helps fix any of those potential smeary issues you could have. It's pretty straightforward. So again, the filling performance and then the application isn't a nightmare comparatively. Some products are a nightmare. Yeah, I'm very impressed. So 7 out of 10 there. Bottle, it's a 1 out of 2. There's no variable, infinitely variable spray. It's comfy in the hand. It's not too heavy. Like once these things get bigger, they can get a little, not tiresome, but it's just like the mass shifting on you. You just notice it more. 16 ounce is a nice weight. I think that's why it's such a popular size. It's a nice controllable weight, where this, which is this big wide part at the bottom, you feel the momentum more. But anyway, it's a nice ball of grip. I just wish the trigger was a bit better. ADS's triggers, like that style trigger, not the press-alls, but the ones where you just turn that barrel out, and that's my favorite trigger. And the label is a 2 out of 2. Tons of information, tons of, you know, how to use all of it, how to how to get over problems. There's troubleshooting on here. They've done a very good job of the label. The font is a little small, but it's not unbearable. It's white on black, so at least you have some contrast to see it. So it's a 2 out of 2 on the label. I think they've done a good job explaining how this product works, but again, this could come across as an intimidating product. You've got a higher price than the average. It was at least 10 bucks, if not about 12 to 15 bucks more than most of the stuff in the aisles locally. So, yeah, it can be, I think I've seen this up to $44 before, but it's not there now. So it can be an intimidating product, but they have done the explanation for you to get a good result. So yeah, if you haven't been keeping score at home, there's a lot of 8s and 7s and not a lot of 1s and 2s, except for bottle label. So this scores pretty dang well at 47 out of 64. This jumps it up right into the top rankings. Its application, again, in this instance, went fine. I have seen it go south, so maybe those could average down for peer feedback. Like, yes, a lot of people could have had more issues with this, but again, damp towel fixes all. Slickness was pretty good. Price wasn't great. It was way worse. Like, this price would be a 3 back in the day when it was like $44. But because it's discontinued maybe, or, you know, adjustments, R&D's been paid off, whatever you want to call it, it's not that high anymore, so it does come up a bit in points. Again, I'm grading it on today. If you don't want price factoring in, just remove that entire column, and all of a sudden this scores really well on that average. Hydrophobics and chemical resistance were very strong showings. Filling was a really strong showing. And, you know, bottom label, it's a onesie twosie, but it does a lot of things. You can use it a bunch of ways. It does perform really well in a lot of areas. Some people might have application issues. That's about it. So pretty impressive when you look at it like, you know, not analytically, but like in a scientific, I don't want to call this scientific, but when you just focus in on certain traits, it does very, very well. Does it last 6 to 12 months? No. Does it sometimes have application issues? Yes. But it's pretty dang good for what it is. It's just really expensive. So I don't know why they've discontinued it without bringing out something to replace it. A lot of people, you know, love the Hybrid Solutions green and gray bottle. So maybe they're just going to stick with that bread and butter for a while until they crack the code on something new. But I don't know. I think a lot of people still wish this was around from what I've seen. Again, I haven't looked too close, but It wasn't a bad product. It just had a couple little things you had to deal with. It was a little more than the average consumer would want to spend and deal with, but for some people it was really great, and I don't mind this product at all. I never use it, but I don't mind it. So yeah, that's it for this one. See you in the next one.